Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening to Mr. Mahdi. So today me and my friends are going to present the second task on TSLB 3163 Curriculum Studies, which is task 2 or representation on the issues that lead to the implementation of KSSR. So okay, so introducing the presenters. So me, Nurul Aina Atiqah binti email, the first presenter. And then second presenter, Nuaimi binti Saikullah. And the third presenter will be Nurul Qamarina Balqis binti Muhammad Lutfi. So before discussing the issues, I would like to share the overview on the implementation of the KSSR in our educational system. So KSSR or Curriculum Standard Sekolah Rendah or Standard Primary School Curriculum, which took place in 2011, was part of broader educational reforms outlined in the Malaysia Educational Blueprint, which is MEB, and aimed to enhance the quality of education by incorporating modern pedagogical approaches and addressing the changing needs of students in the 21st century. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to discuss the first issue that lead to the implementation of KSSR, which is teacher-centered approach. So, RAJ 2022 stated in a teacher-centered classroom approach, it focuses completely on the educator. So, collaboration between teachers, students is missing in the teacher-centered approaches. Therefore, this leads to the situation where it brings the advantage to the students and also the teacher. Okay, so the first advantage, which is from the teacher-centered approaches, is limited student engagement. So in a teacher-centered classroom, students may have limited opportunity to actively engage with the materials that is provided by the teacher, the learning in the classroom. And passive learning can lead to decreased interest and the motivation of the students. So when a student is a passive learner, they will not involve in the learning process and experience. So they won't experience the learning by themselves. So here it happened because teacher also unable to address their students' learning needs, and some students may require additional support or alternative methods of instruction that is rigid. Teacher-centered model may not accommodate, especially nowadays. There are no more class streaming in the school. So this means that students from different level of proficiency are placed in the same classroom. So this lead to the second point, which is students have high dependence on the teacher. So students in the teacher-centered environment may become overly dependent on the teacher for information and guidance. And this dependence can hinder the development or independent in the learning skills. And this way, it will decrease the students' autonomy as they have fewer opportunities to make decisions about their own learning. And autonomy is important for fostering a sense of responsibility and self-direction in students. And also, as I mentioned before, when there are no streaming in the classroom, this issue also happen because of the will lead to the unequal participation from the students. So, in the teacher-centered approach, may result in uneven participation, with some students dominating discussions while the others remain passive. And this can limit the involvement of all the students in the classroom in the learning process, and it will cause the limitation on the students' social interaction because it less emphasize on the collaboration, learning, and also group activities. So this also can limit the student opportunities to develop social and teamwork skills. And also, passive listening and lack of interaction can lead to boredom among the students. So this can result to disengage classroom environment and also hinder the overall learning experience. And also, lastly, this issue also limit the real world application in learning. So this happen because the teacher-centered approach may prioritize theoretical knowledge over the real world application. So from here, the students may struggle to connect what they have learned in the classroom to practical scenarios. So they cannot apply what they have learned in their in the real world, so that they cannot be a dependent person who can apply what they have learned in the school. And also, based on the KSSR was implemented to based on these issues, KSSR was implemented to enhance the quality, balance, and to create a more dynamic and engaging learning environment. So according to Suryati Sulaiman, Tajo Arifin Sulaiman, and Suzy Liz Sirin Abdurrahim 2017 in KSSR English, the method of teaching and learning is student-centered, while in KBSR, which is before, is more on teacher-centered. Therefore, our education system has shifted from teacher-centered to student-centered to follow the pedagogical shift in which there have been growing recognition in education that student-centered approach where students actively participate in their learning process can be more effective in developing critical thinking, problem solving, and other essential skills. So this is because student-centered approach often prioritize understanding and application of knowledge over the memorization. So this aligns with the idea that education should not just be about acquiring the information, but also about the applying the knowledge in the real world situation. So this aligns with the global educational trends as many countries are aligning their educational system with global trends that is emphasizing on the 21st century skills. And these skills go beyond rote memorization and require students to think critically, work collaboratively, and also adapt to a rapidly changing world. Besides, and this approach allows for more individualized learning experience, recognizing that students have different learning styles, pace, and strength. And as we can see, students have different learning styles, which can help them in to learn, acquiring the knowledge the best. Therefore, as a teacher, we need to help them in acquiring the knowledge in the way they like the most, in the way they are comfortable with. And as we are living in this digital world, most students nowadays prefer technology to be integrated in their learning. Therefore, the integration of technology in education have provided new opportunities for interactive and student-centered learning experience. And also, digital tools can support collaborative projects, research, and creative expression. So here, student-centered approach can better accommodate diverse learning needs and cultural backgrounds, fostering inclusivity and also equity in the education. And this is crucial as every student have the right to get better education as every person is entitled to a quality education without discrimination, which is aligned with the UNICEF tagline, which is education for all. So lastly, a student-centered approach can help the students to prepare for the lifelong learning. So in this rapidly changing world, the ability to learn independently and adapt to a new situations is very crucial. So student-centered approaches aim to foster a love for learning and also equip the students with the with the skills to become lifelong learners. So I think that's all from me. I will pass the next issue to Nuaimi.
Thank you, Aina. Can you please go to the next slides? Okay. So I'm Nuaimi, and I'm now going to explain the next issue that we have discovered. And before I start, let me explain a bit on the issue that we have found. So, due to the rapid progress in education and as well as in technology, what worked for the previous years might not work for the current education. Hence, why the second issue that leads to the implementation of KSSR that we have identified is the outdated curriculum. The current development or the current world is not the same as what we had before, so the curriculum also needs to be customized to in order for it to be in line with the changes. So the previously existing curriculum was perceived as outdated and not fully meeting the needs of modern societies. So KSSR has aimed to address this by introducing a more relevant and dynamic curriculum. So based on what I've explained a little bit just now, the issues that we have identified, which leads to the changes from the outdated curriculum to the reform curriculum, are the needs for students to be critical thinkers and tech savvy in order for them to be able to be at par with the international standard. Firstly, I will further explain the issues or needs of students to be critical thinker. According to Natasha Kaur in 2023, it is no longer ideal for teachers to organize their lessons solely on content knowledge in an age where students can obtain knowledge at their fingertips. And this statement echoes that it is no longer relevant to conduct a lesson which focuses solely on the teacher delivering the content and students receiving the knowledge like they are being spoon fed by the teacher. This is because the student themselves can actually search for the knowledge on their own with the technology and internet that they already have. So it seems like the traditional system often relied heavily on route of memorization, so which neglect the development of critical thinking as well as the problem solving skills. So when students are only focused on memorization, it will be useless as they will not have the ability to actually apply the knowledge that they have acquired into real world settings. Besides, this also results in lack of cognitive skills among the students when this is the most crucial thing in order for them to be able to work in organizational tasks as well as to be able to adapt to this rapidly developing world. This happens because schools and teachers were mainly focused on grades instead of students' personal development as a whole, such as their what I mentioned before, their cognitive skills and as well as their adaptability. So then this then makes the students unprepared for the real world challenges after getting out of school or after they graduate from school. Therefore, Zainuddin Hassan et al. In 2018 stated that students now need to handle hard or the higher order thinking skills in addition to memorization and factoring into this competitive world. Hence, this has what caused the KSSR to aim to shift towards a more active and engaging approach to learning. Next slides, please. Okay, now moving on to the next issues. In the next issue in outdated curriculum is the issue of rapid changes in the technology. So according to Partovi in 2018, over the years, the demand for problem solving, critical thinking, digital skills, and teamwork grows. But these skills are not covered in our school. So with the rapid development of technology, students should be able to make use of this technology to aid them with their learning. With the prevalence of technology in society, fostering digital literacy is essential. This is because integrating technology into education can help the students to develop their skills to navigate, evaluate, and use the digital information responsibly. However, students in Malaysia are still left behind in regards of to this issue as they are not fully exposed. Relatively, Maricha in 2023 mentioned that a future-proof ability to navigate technology is essential in an increasingly digital environment. So this statement shows that integrating technology into education prepares students for the digital age workforce. This is because the familiarity with digital tools and technology skills are increasingly important in various careers. Thus, it is very important for the students to be tech savvy as it will give them the opportunity to land in a job that requires them to work with digital and technology, which are one of the current well-paid job nowadays. And this kind of field of work is also one of the high demand in job opportunities. Hence, while the lack of exposure of effective and responsible use of technology is one of the issues that has led to the implementation of KSSR in current curriculum. Hence, that is why the second issue that we have found uh, that has led to the reformation of the curriculum into the KSSR is due to the outdated curriculum. I think that is all for me. Then I will pass the presentation to the next presenter, Qamarina.
Uh, okay, thank you, Nuaimi, for the explanation on the issues which led to the implementation of the KSSR in our primary school. Now, moving on to our next issues is the exam-centric approach. So, the exam-centric approach in the Malaysia's primary schools actually they places a strong emphasis on preparing students for the standardized examinations. So, this approach, which is the exam centric approach tends to prioritize rote memorization of facts and it's primarily focused on the teacher content that is directly related to the exam topics. The primary goal of this exam-centric approach is often to achieve high scores in assessments and sometimes at the expense of the fostering a deeper understanding of subjects, critical thinking skills, and a broader set of the competencies. So this approach actually has been criticized for its limitation, which is led to the educational reform such as the implementation of the KSSR or the Curriculum Standard Sekolah Rendah to provide a more balanced and holistic learning experience. So in the KSSR, it's actually emphasized on the students' holistic and academic development as stated in the KSSR itself. One of the objectives is the students need to be balanced in terms of intellectual, spiritual, emotional, physical, and social. So this is actually quite contrast to the exam-centric approach because it only focuses on the student's academic. So why is the exam-centric approach become disadvantageous? It is because firstly, it's emphasis only on the memorization. So the exam-centric approach it encourages students to memorize information mechanically without a deep understanding of the subject matter. Uh, for example, in the English subjects, instead of learning the grammar by integrating it into the, for example, like the speaking skills or by doing a real life or by doing activities, the students just try to memorize the grammar rules. For example, like the past tense, instead of trying to understand how to use it and what kind of context they need to use it for. So when we want to relate it to the KSSR, actually the KSSR itself aims to shift away from the memorization by fostering a more engaging and interactive learning environment. For example, uh, for example, the students actually can try to learn in a more engaging and interactive learning environment so that they will be able to understand instead of trying to memorize the things that they need to. For example, just like the grammar rules I told you earlier. And for the next one is the exam-centric approach becomes an issue because it limited a critical thinking. So the exam-centric approach actually it prioritizes it's quite limit students from developing their critical thinking skills, and it limits their ability to analyze and solve problems independently. So, for example, like maybe in mathematics subject, the students may try to memorize certain procedures without trying to understand what kind of principle being applied to solve this problem, and hindering their problem solving skills. So, if we relate to the KSSR, the curriculum standard sekolah rendah actually emphasizes critical thinking by trying to incorporating activities that require students to apply their knowledge in the practical scenarios. For example, instead of merely solving equations, maybe the students might engage in a real life problem solving exercises that actually demand the analytical thinking. And for the next point, under the exam-centric approach, is the exam-centric approach itself narrow down the skill development. So, uh, the exam-centric approaches actually will sideline the development of the essential life skills, for example, like the communication, creativity, and collaboration. For example, a focus on the exam content alone will might neglect the cultivation of the communication skills in the language subjects, for example, like the English subjects. This is because in exam there is no communication that happen because the students they try to answer the question by themselves, and there's no any kind of um, collaboration that happen. So, uh, in this in these issues, the KSSR actually addresses this by incorporating a more holistic curriculum that actually includes activities that promotes various skills. For example, in the English classes, the teachers may do some activities that involve collaborative projects and encourage students to actually express themselves creatively and try to communicate effectively by doing the group works and more. So, uh, actually, in summary, the KSSR itself was implemented in response to these exam-centric disadvantages, which is it to aim an educational environment that nurtures a deeper understanding of these subjects and encourages critical thinking and also facilitate the development of a broader range of skills essential for students' overall growth. So, in conclusion, the shift towards the KSSR actually it reflects a commitment to provide students with a more well-rounded education, better preparing them for the challenges of the real world and promoting a lifelong love of the learning. So I think that's all from our groups. Thank you. This is our references. Okay, that was used for us to do this presentation.